we're going to win this race. Just look at what has happened since yesterday. 24 hours, we were behind in Georgia. Now we're ahead, and we're going to win that state. 24 hours ago, we were behind in Pennsylvania, and we are going to win Pennsylvania. And now we're ahead, but we're winning in Arizona, we're winning in Nevada, and in fact, our lead just doubled in Nevada. We're on track to over 300 electoral college votes. And look at the national numbers. We're going to win this race with a clear majority of the nation behind us. We've gotten over 74 million votes. Let me repeat that, 74 million votes. That's more than any presidential ticket has ever gotten in the history of the United States of America. And our vote total is still growing. We're beating Donald Trump by over 4 million votes. And that's a margin that's still growing as well.
More than 3 days after polls closed in the race, there is still no official winner of the U.S. election. Let's have a look at the results as they stand at the moment. The overall picture hasn't changed in quite some time now. Remember, the candidate who gets 270 electoral votes wins. So far, Democratic candidate Joe Biden has received 264 to Republican President Donald Trump's 214, according to projections by the Associated Press. AP has Biden winning Arizona, but many other forecasts say it's too close to call. Pennsylvania would be a massive prize with its 20 electoral votes. Joe Biden's lead there is currently around 29,000, with 99% of votes counted. The mail-in votes being counted have been heavily favoring the Democratic candidate. Georgia, with its 16 electoral votes, is also extremely close. Biden has pulled ahead of Trump there with a difference of just over 4,000 votes. A recount is expected. Overall, Donald Trump's path to victory is looking increasingly narrow. States in red or blue have been called by AP for Trump or Biden. States in lighter blue or in pink are leaning toward Biden or Trump, respectively. Any one of the remaining states will give Joe Biden the win. President Trump needs a combination of states. A Biden victory may look increasingly likely, but there's little sign it will bring an end to the deep divisions made during the campaign. Backers of President Trump are expressing doubts about the large numbers of Biden votes counted after Election Day. The votes eliminated Trump's lead in a few key states. Biden supporters, meanwhile, have been celebrating what they believe to be the end of the Trump era.
Scenes of jubilation. Biden's supporters in New York and other U.S. cities began dancing in the streets as election results on Friday turned increasingly in favor of their candidate, but also in several cities. Scenes of frustration, like here in Arizona, where Trump supporters have gathered for days to protest after Biden was declared the likely victor. Also, scenes of faith, albeit a deeply divided faith, showing many Democrats believe in the U.S. election system, while many Republicans do not.
So if Trump doesn't win and it's legal, then all right, Biden's the president. I don't know very many people that are unwilling to accept that. Like, the problem becomes is when it's not legal.
Well, he's going to win. We're going to be patient because this is turning into a legal problem now.
This is a fraud on the American public.
President Trump was making claims of illegality even before millions of ballots were counted. There has yet to be any credible evidence of election fraud. Over the course of Friday, votes for Biden flipped the grand prize state of Pennsylvania, and Trump lost his lead, bringing supporters of both candidates out on the streets.
It's a scam. It's state collusion. Other states, Democratic-controlled states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, they're all colluding with each other to create these fraudulent mail-in ballot voting.
I think there is so much attention on this election, on the counting of the votes, on looking out for fraud, that you're going to find that it was probably more accurate than any election we've had. So whether they get a recount or not, I'm not concerned, because I think you're going to get the same results.
Trump just lost. It's as simple as that. He didn't get the votes. It comes down to a few thousand votes here and there, but one person has to win and one person has to lose, and he lost.
Biden says he's confident he will win. He's appealing for greater unity once the dust settles.
And I want you to know that I'll work as hard for those who voted against me as those who voted for me. That's the job. That's the job. It's called the duty of care for all Americans. We have serious problems to deal with, from COVID to the economy to racial justice to climate change. We don't have any more time to waste on partisan warfare.
Street demonstrations, for the most part, have been peaceful, even when people with strongly opposing views face off. Meanwhile, the world is watching to see if that holds true once a final result is announced.
For more on that, I am now joined in the studio by DW's chief international editor, Richard Walker. Richard, good to see you. Trump supporters seem desperate. Any reaction from the Trump campaign itself?
Well, the Trump campaign is maintaining its position that it stands ready and has already begun with legal action in some states. And, we could be in recount territory, certainly in the state of Georgia and some others. But what's quite also interesting is to look at what they are saying more under the radar to their own supporters. Now, after covering the last election in the US, I'm registered for the campaign mails that Trump supporters receive. And overnight, from last night to today, European time, I received in the space of 9 hours 14 emails, and we can take a look at a few of these emails, perhaps on the wall right here. Look at this one in the subject line: "We need to keep pushing." Trying to raise money here for what they call the official election defense fund. Sort of money that they are claiming here that they want to put into legal challenges. Maybe we can bring up the next one here. There it is. Look. Sent by Trump. No doubt where this is coming from.
Goodness.
With the message, let's keep going. Really kind of riling up Trump supporters here. And we have one more to show in just a moment. See if we can get that one up. Yeah, it's time to fight back. So little wonder, what we just saw in the report there, you've got so many Trump supporters coming out onto the streets, and many of these emails also kind of fueling this suggestion that illegal votes are being counted, this misleading suggestion where there's been no evidence presented whatsoever. And bear in mind, this is not just coming to my inbox. This is going to millions of Trump supporters around the country.
No doubt. It's a full-court press. It appears that this election is going to be won or lost by a razor-thin margin in a small handful of states. Could you sort of do a sort of 360-degree here look at just how close this election has actually been?
Yeah, obviously it is close in these states, otherwise we wouldn't still be talking about it now. Some of these states could be, won by less than a single percentage point. But if you pull out and look at the popular vote overall, the margin is larger, certainly. So at the current tally, Joe Biden seems to have an advantage of something like 4 million plus votes over Donald Trump. Which in percentage terms would be about 3 percentage points, if that's where that holds. That is certainly not the landslide many Democrats were hoping for in this election, but it's also not a particularly close election. There have been many closer ones in recent years.
Some people might be surprised to hear that Georgia, this sort of conservative, reliable Republican state, is actually in play here, and the Democrats might even actually win it. How did this state become part of the Democratic plan?
Yeah, that is definitely remarkable if that does indeed happen. The last time that Georgia voted for a Democratic presidential candidate was way back in 1992 when Bill Clinton, a fellow Southerner from Arkansas, won by a razor-thin margin over George Bush Sr. Now, if the Democrats do manage to flip that state this year, you can expect a lot of the credit to go to Stacey Abrams. Now, she is a former state politician. She narrowly lost her race for governor in 2018. And there were allegations of voter suppression in that election that targeted minority communities, particularly the black community, which is more than 30% of the population in Georgia. So after that election, Stacey Abrams made it her personal mission to start a real voter registration drive in Georgia, registering reportedly about 800,000 new voters. So if the Democrats win that state, that could be down to her.
Richard Walker, thank you so much for that perspective.